Seattle or DevHub's downtown Seattle HQ. I am joined by my friend, your CTO, Daniel Rust. Today we are talking about creating landing pages for SEO. And I would start off by probably saying it is very hard. How should we start based on my notes? Should I just start?
Yeah, we could just start on
Okay. So if you're looking at, how to scale landing pages that more or less you're trying to get ranked, and you're trying to do that within a current CMS environment, you know that could be ridiculously difficult, especially if you're not in control of the CMS, you're a marketer, you're on the other side of the business, unrelated to the actual technical side, and you're working with a team. You generate the content, you have to loop somebody else in to basically plug the content into your CMS and all this other stuff. Our platform basically can provide the structure that makes that whole part of coordinating with IT and all the other stuff basically go away. So we can save a ton of time on basically being able to generate those landing pages. I'll stop there, and then Daniel, you want to fill in that part?
Basically, typically you have your existing site that you're managing content, and those are just for one-off pages. But if you want to, like what we're talking about is creating lots of pages underneath the site for a certain topic. So it can be everything from industries, events, like anything that there's a lot of. We can help you scale that out and make it really easy to manage via kind of integration with Google Sheets. So we can kind of take over a part of your site and then allow you to easily publish content. And the content is kind of the key thing here, because with, if you're doing more of a simple landing page, the content doesn't really matter too much. And you can do some really good targeting with really just using kind of our macros and dynamic values and things like that. But when you want the page to do well, if on the SEO side, if you want them to be indexed, then you need to have valuable content. So typically that involves, writing that content for every one of those combinations of variables that you want, and getting it live on the page.
So kind of before we had, the platform today, if we wrote content, I would basically have to submit it to Daniel or the team, be like, hey, here's what we wrote. Can you publish this for me? Now, basically, they built out the structure. So if there's any opportunities around an industry or a conversation we had, basically, I can simply log into my Google Sheet, plug in all the content into the appropriate places, and the page will publish within a minute or two. And it's just really nice because now I don't have to wait for the team to basically do something. I can publish the page, it's live, and then I can start using it, whether it's in a conversation I just had with a customer, or in an email campaign that we're doing later on in the week, or if we're sending paid traffic to it. So that's that part. And then I wanted to talk about using the macros and variables. So talk about how our platform can automate, a piece of the content, and then of automating that piece of the content, what percentage of the job can get done with variables and macros?
Yeah, so typically when you're rolling out our landing pages, you might have macros denoting it's hard to talk through if we want a specific example, but
let's use a home services example.
Okay. So home services, basically they have their services they offer, which is probably, 5, 6, 10 different services. And then they might be targeting specific geographies around them that they normally service in. So it could be 10, could be 20, could be 30. Those would be neighborhoods, cities that are nearby, since they're usually traveling and can serve a wide area. So then basically, if it's 10 services and 30 markets, then it's, 10 times 30. So that's the potential number of pages that you would publish to kind of target against these. But to make them unique enough, you need some good content written for each of those sort of markets plus service. That's, quality content that's going to be valuable for the user. So on our side, basically you can use macros. So you'd have a field for the service and a field for the market. So then you can use those two values within our macros to like do things like set up your title tag and different sort of elements that are on the page. And those are pretty much just macroed out. You don't have to write those each time. If you have any sort of like intro text, you can use basically the same macros again so that you don't have to, write every iteration. But then when you get down into the content piece, that's where you can still leverage the macros, but it's still going to be a paragraph or two that is getting written up. And you can include like, time saving stuff for, like the targeted sort of geo or the service. But the rest is kind of up to you at that point. So I would say that probably we would handle like, it'd be about, 20% of it.
So it's still the 80, besides the time savings of, let's say, the platform and the 20% using the macros, still that you're saying 80% though is the content.
Yeah. And I think that if you just used macros only, which is really easy to do, you could roll out these pages and you could use them for a lot of purposes, which we can talk about a little bit further. But, like just doing that and then driving traffic to those pages for things that are not SEO, you're going to see a big lift. It's going to be really targeted pages for your different sort of campaigns that you're running, email marketing, things like that. But if you want to be able to get these to actually bring in organic traffic, then you need to supply that real content.
Yeah. And there's just, obviously at this point, there is just no shortcut around that.
Yeah.
Like either you're doing it, you're farming it out, but it's still, if it's not relevant to the searcher or the consumer, you don't want to just throw away that money either.
The gist is basically we have the tools to help you easily generate all these pages, but it's kind of up to you on where that content is coming from.
Yeah. And I guess one piece before we kind of wrap it up too, like on the SEO part in terms of the pages being generated, what are we doing on that front? You touched on it a little bit, but just spell it out, just related to only SEO. Like that's the question we always get. It's like, so what does DevHub do related to the SEO side?
Yeah, so basically anything that's on page, so everything from title tag, the URL structure, having that all kind of optimized and in the best practices for that, the structure, the template, things like that. Anything that's on the page other than the content is really what we're bringing the value to. So, you still need to link to the pages to get them SEO quality. You need to have quality content. So you need to build a strategy around it. You can't just fire up the pages and expect them to do well.
Which is what I suck at, because I think that once we launch a page, everyone's going to find it, and then like Googling it, it's not being found. And sometimes it does take time, but really what we found is, the right content. And again, the reason, obviously Daniel's more on the technical side. Maybe let's say I'm more on the sales and marketing side. The reason I like it is because the structure's in place. So if we're having a conversation with a customer, and again, ours is a little bit more B2B, but the same can be applied like in the home services where it's B2C. But again, like in the B2B world, like we're talking to somebody like, hey, can we use, DevHub for the plug into our email marketing platform to generate a landing page that, once it gets clicked off the email, it can do this. Like all of that content, we take the notes as part of a sales call, whatever. And if we have enough of it and we've gotten that request maybe 1, 2, 3 times, or we've had a bunch of conversations around that, I can quickly log into my quick little Google Sheet, plug in all that stuff, create a use case around that, basically a one sheet on the web for that, write a blog post about it, link to that, and then use that page as part of an email marketing campaign. If that all made sense. There's links below in the description that can walk you through some of that. So, I knew this video was going to be a little bit short. Really, hopefully what you heard is that we can provide the structure, which reduces a ton of time. So instead of interfacing with your CMS, you're interfacing with basically a Google Sheet and this whole idea of a master template, but don't confuse that. It's a Google Sheet that can plug right into your current site under your preferred, I guess, domain
Mhm.
strategy. And so in closing, can I close it?
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, cool. So obviously building the pages, we make it easy. Provide the structure so that anyone can do it. Writing content is going to be your hardest part, but the publishing the pages is super easy. No longer have to interface with the CMS. Those pages, going for the SEO play, is a longer term play. There will be no shortcut around that to get the pages to really work for you. Obviously, link to them, obviously, blog about them. In the meantime, those pages can be used for any of your email marketing campaigns, can be used as a part of any of your paid media campaigns. So there's multiple uses for creating the pages. Obviously, the long-term goal or the 3 to 6, 9-month goal would be to get those pages, hopefully ranked, assuming you did everything right. And everything right is so that a consumer finds them relevant. In the meantime, they can be used as part of email marketing campaigns, paid search campaigns, and then kind of more informational pages, maybe off of relevant blog posts that you're posting. So hopefully that was informative. I think that's it. Yeah. Thanks for joining.
Thanks, everybody.